When I assume this job and function, I cannot do business, cannot hold any position.
Right.
So I'm a clean, good boy on the bench.
Good morning, you're listening to The Breakfast Grill. I'm Shazana Mokhtar. Parliament convened for its third sitting this week, with the session running for 35 days until December 12th. The tabling of Budget 2025 tomorrow and subsequent debates will no doubt be the centerpiece of this sitting, but there are also controversial bills due to be voted on, including the constitutional amendments with regard to citizenship and also discussions on the Mufti Federal Territories Bill. How will the Yang di-Pertua Dewan Rakyat shepherd these proceedings? Joining me on the show today is Tan Sri Johari Abdul, the 11th Yang di-Pertua or Speaker of the Dewan Rakyat. Tan Sri, good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Grill. I want to start with understanding what the agenda for this parliamentary sitting is. What is the breadth of the agenda that lawmakers will be considering over the course of this 1 month sitting? This is the longest session of the year at 35 days. Previous sittings were just 19 days in February and 15 days in June. What does the workload look like? How many bills are being considered? How many are going to be tabled and voted on?
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning, Shazana. Thank you very much for being here. And I think this is my second time. I love to keep on coming.
That's right, your second time at BFM.
Yeah, indeed. And certainly the focus shall be on the budget. And I've given ample time for the MPs not only to speak, but also to ask questions and to give their opinions. And certainly they come voting. And I guess I want everybody to be on board and everybody, to say whatever is in your mind. Either you want to criticize the management or you have some good ideas, so that everybody benefit from that.
How many bills are currently going to be
Well, they are
coming.
Some are coming. Some kementerian keep on sending us bill, but we see how things are. At the moment, we have about 41, 42 bills. But as I said, we got until December.
Have 35 days.
Yeah, we have until December 12. So some of the bills are keep on coming. Some are last minute. Like last sitting, we had last minute bills, about 10 that came in 72 hours before the session is over.
Okay, so it's very fluid in the sense of what comes in.
Yeah.
Tan Sri, the government of the day sets the parliamentary agenda for each sitting, but this may not necessarily tally with what is the topmost concern for the people. Do you see it as your role to create space in parliament for pressing issues to be publicly discussed as they crop up, or are you bound by the agenda determined by the government?
No. You see what happened, must remember, the Prime Minister is also a Ketua Majlis, okay? So, of course, when it comes to sitting dates, we will sit down with the Prime Minister, Prime Minister's office. What are the convenience dates? But there must be 3 sittings, certainly there is. And number 2 is that at the moment, we are working about 70 days in a year. But I'm trying to push for next year, which we got, for 77 days. Okay. Probably in future, we might go for bigger than that. Of course, I have a dream to that, because comparatively, some of the neighboring countries do sitting almost every month.
Right. Right.
So we're trying to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, but nevertheless, the one that sets the peripherals, what are the issues, are Parliament.
Okay.
Okay, so I prioritize. These are, must be top on the list.
Okay.
But you can push to the second and the third. Especially issues that crop up from time to time, then I would give space to the minister, what we call it in Parliament, Penerangan Menteri.
Okay. So
the one that we had 2 days ago on GISB.
Right.
So 3 ministers were allowed to explain what's going on.
Okay.
Home Minister, the Religious Minister, and of course the Minister of Women and
Okay, so in that sense, you do have flexibility in order to ensure that all these issues are discussed.
That's right.
But you don't give that same space for opposition MPs or government backbenchers to present their own bills or to present their own issues.
No, that's not allowed, because so far we have the practice still not there yet. But nevertheless, they catch it in. They can chip in,
Okay.
When we talk about certain issues, they can always There's only space for them.
Okay, I want to turn to Budget 2025, which is the third budget that you will preside over as Speaker. And you've been conducting interviews ahead of the tabling to generate more interest in parliamentary proceedings.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't recall you doing this prior to previous budgets, nor do I remember previous speakers doing such engagement ahead of the budget tabling session. So why are you doing this now?
Well, I want to make sure that the public at large understand that this budget is not only for ministers and MPs. This budget is about us, about the Malaysian at large, how it affects our life. That's number one. How it affects the investors outside. They would like to know what kind of budget we are talking about. How much we are spending on Kementerian A, Kementerian B, Kementerian C. That's
Is that
very
the role
important.
of the Speaker, though, to do so?
It's not the role of the Speaker, but I'm trying to send a message that the public must get engaged. Public must understand what's going on. And public have their rep, which are MPs. And I want MPs to sit down with their people on the ground. And if you can, you need to have a town hall. Have town hall for that. But next year, for example, then these are what people demand. This is what people want. How much they want in this kementerian, not in this kementerian. So there must be engagement between public and their MPs, rather than their MPs just wait and react to what government is showing.
So you want to actually ignite energy within the public to engage with their MPs, regardless of their stripe, on Budget 2025.
When I say public, meaning to say not only general public, but academia, or the ex-military, or the veterans, and ex-government servant, or the farmers, and you do all spectrum of society.
Okay, so you want to really ignite that public discussion, and I of course agree that Parliament is the best forum to scrutinize actions of the government, and bills should be rigorously debated, including budget allocations that are coming up. But how much of what is debated on the floor actually gets taken on in government laws and policies?
Oh, government listen, because every time you have session, they'll be followed not only by the politicians, but also senior government officers who actually do the what you call it, paperwork, and some of these are their figures and everything else.
Could you give an example, perhaps, of where you've seen a debate in Parliament then translate into actual policy or law that was passed through?
Well, yeah, we have, for example, PLKN, giving a good example, Program Khidmat Negara, which was scrapped off in 2018 by the then Dr. Mahathir. Then we have this,
And that came from a parliamentary debate.
Then people are talking about, look here, the kids are now, when you reduce down the voting age from 21 to 18, but you don't have programs that follow with that, then suddenly you see the kids immediately after Form 5, which is 18 years old, and they do not know what's going on. They don't even understand what voting is all about. So that is a missing part. Then finally, government decided, yes, why don't we bring back PLKN? Now they call it PLKN 3.0, and which will start to next year, January.
Okay.
To make sure that our young voters understand what voting is all about, what democracy is all about, what Dewan Rakyat, Dewan Negara, and Dewan Undangan Negeri is all about. Those are the missing. So at the end of the day, when a lot of MPs and a lot of the parents talk about it and MPs pick up these issues and they debate it in the Parliament.
All right, so that's an example of how these continuous discussions in Parliament can translate to actual policy. I want to talk about what's on the agenda of Parliament today, actually. They are expected to vote on the constitutional amendments on citizenship following the Dewan Rakyat debate yesterday. Now, there's a lot of concern over the provisions in these amendments. I'm wondering why this bill can't be scrutinized further in the relevant Parliamentary Select Committee, as some stakeholders, including Suhakam, have suggested.
No, actually, to be frank, the government have listened to the Special Select Committee 3 times.
On this bill?
Oh, yeah, on this bill alone. And there has been, it took so long, for the last, 3 or 4 government, we have been talking about it. But I should say there's no strength. They have to not have enough strength
the
to
Parliamentary
push.
Select Committee.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, what happened was that this government, thank God, we have very energetic Home Minister who engaged with every sectors, including the select committee, and they met 3 times.
But
And then Suhakam, they met Suhakam.
understood. So they meet separately, but there is no provision that every bill needs to be scrutinized at the select committee, right? That still has to come as a directive from the government itself.
Well, I would certainly certain bill I would propose.
Okay.
Of course, not openly. I would say to the minister, why don't you talk to the select committee so that you get it passed better rather than you got stuck in the part. I mean, we have remember the tobacco bill last time.
Okay.
Yeah. And even I spoke to the minister before. I said, look here, I was not the speaker yet at the time, but I was in the opposition. I said, you better talk to this chairman of the select committee. But he refused to listen. But true enough, the bill was not passed through. So taking that as an example, when I am a speaker, sometimes I feel that it's better that you need to talk to the select committee chairman.
Okay. Tan Sri, should MPs be allowed to vote based on their conscience for this constitutional amendment bill if there are elements which they disagree with? I think that's something that some civil society actors are calling for.
Well, listening to this debate, of course, there's a lot of positive side, which I think many MPs, both divine, opposition and government, do what you call recommend. At the same time, do appreciate the hard work of the Home Minister. I guess there are some teasing issues which can be, most of those teasing issues are administrative issues. But as a principles of it, I think most of the MPs do agree with what has been too long in the pipeline. Finally, they see things are coming. So yes,
you don't foresee a contested
back to your
vote.
question. Well, they can vote, but certainly the system that we have there, we vote. Is a whip is very important, and somehow the whip will certainly influence them.
Okay,
but
so
at
you
the
think
end of the day,
it will be voted on party lines for this one?
Yeah, party line, certainly.
I would like to turn to perceptions of fairness. Now, Tan Sri, you are appointed by the government, and the Speaker is supposed to be an independent arbiter of proceedings in Parliament. But you were also a PKR lawmaker for 15 years, with stints both in Parliament and the Kedah State Assembly. You say you're colorblind, but we're all made up of our life experiences that shape our conscious and unconscious biases. Does your political past make it more difficult for you to be perceived as impartial?
Well, in the first place, I'm not appointed by the government. See, the government proposed my name. At the end of the day, the MPs that make decision, meaning to say that a decision, either me being a speaker or not, lies on the hands of an MP. So I'm selected by them. See. So on that score, yes, as the first day, I said I'm colorblind, even though I was a PKR leader, but when I assume this job and function, I have to be as independent as possible. So that's why in law I need to resign from all position.
Right.
And I got to relinquish all if I have shares in company, I cannot do business. I cannot hold any position.
Right.
So I'm a clean, good boy on the bench.
Okay, you may be independent in terms of your, your interest, your corporate interests and figures, right? But you have to deal with perception as well as reality. And the decisions that you have made tend to be viewed, rightly or wrongly, through the lens of your perceived allegiances, even despite saying that you have no position in parties, you have no corporate interest, right? But again, you're very close to the Prime Minister. This week, you took the decision to prioritize government backbenchers in the daily oral question time on the basis of numbers. Government backbenchers outweigh the opposition MPs. Now, you can cite these numbers as the basis, but the bigger group gets more opportunities, right? Yet the decision overlooks the fact that the rules of parliament already give an advantage to government MPs over the opposition. Does that not complicate your decision making?
No. You got to be fair, because when I was first time MP 2008, all this during Q&A, all the top 10 used to be Barisan Nasional. Nothing for the opposition. So I was personally went to see that. That was my first time MP during 2008.
That was under Tan Sri Pandita
Exactly.
Amin.
I went to see him. I said, look here, sir. We have that time is about 82 MPs. How can you push us to number 11 or 12? Then they said, okay, to be fair, I said, then alternate it. Number one, number two, you alternate
Why
it.
not continue that alternation then?
Yeah, because remember, those days, because we have 82. Now they have only 75. So you have more government backbenchers than the opposition. I got to be fair again to them.
Again, fairness doesn't mean equitable, right?
Yes.
There are still perceptions that you are favoring government MPs over opposition MPs in this.
If they have 91 next year, or next what we call it, parliament, then probably we have to alternate, given back that position.
Okay, so where do you see it's a numbers game?
Yeah, I got to be fair to them. Because chairman of the backbenchers came and see me. He said, look here, sir, it's not fair. Because we have more backbenchers than the opposition. That if you look at the two entire numbers, yes. So you got to be, even that, I place a position at number 1 to number 10 only. But after 11, and it's still back to the alternate way.
Tan Sri, the most controversial decision you've made so far is your ruling on the 6 Bersatu MPs that pledged allegiance to Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim in contravention of their party line. You say the decision was based on your interpretation of Bersatu's party constitution as being against the federal constitution. Was that your role as speaker to determine a casual vacancy? Does it go to the extent of having to interpret another party's constitution to come to this decision?
No, we are not talking about their party constitution.
But that was the decision, that was the reason you gave for your decision.
Yeah, but remember, if you look at the amendment of 49A, what it says that the speaker must determine, the word is determine, of the vacancy. So I'm not there as a rubber stamp. I got to really understand word by word what is stated in the constitution. And I'm telling you also, I have friends who are ex-judges, academia, who are in the legal, what you call it, fraternity. I have friends who are sitting judges, and I have friends who are lawyers. So that's why the law said I got to make decision within 21 days. And I make that decision on 20th day because I use that 20 days asking friends, if I am in this position, if I want to take this position, what is your advice? And after collecting those information, then I say, yeah, this is my decision. It's not I'm not talking about, I'm biased again because the opposition, or I've listened. Even PM never talked to me about this issue.
Okay, the Prime Minister did not.
No, we don't even talk about it.
Not the Prime Minister, but perhaps people in the Prime Minister's office? Did you speak to his aides?
Nope.
Okay.
They of course, they ask, what's your decision? I say, yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay.
So they want to be prepared. They do not want to be caught unprepared. So I say, look here, I'm working on it. That's it.
So by your interpretation then, Tan Sri, the words determine a casual vacancy in Parliament, that is more than just an administrative duty. It actually requires you to apply discretion or interpretation to what you see as going on, right? All right. You can argue that. You can argue about the letter of the law. And there are eminent legal scholars that back your interpretation, that agree with the decision that you've made. But does this decision go against the spirit of the anti-hopping law?
No,
I think that is what a lot one are upset and concerned about.
The speaker has to determine. You can't be. I guess I'll give you an example. One day, a party sent me a letter. Well, this gentleman who is a member is now ceased to be a member. And I keep asking, if you have every month party sending me these letters that Mr. A ceased to be a member, Party B, I got a responsibility to run the parliament. I got responsibility to inform SPR that there are vacancies almost every month.
Okay.
How do you run a country like that?
So you are guarding
against... my role is to understand what the hell is going on. So I asked the MPs, what's going on? Oh, they said blah, blah, blah. I said, I want evidence. Did you write down somewhere or did you text someone that you want to leave your party and join Party B from Party A? They said, no. Did you make an announcement openly and there's an evidence that you want Party... As long as you do not have the evidence of saying that Mr. A is leaving Party A, who is in the Party A, to Party B, the law says very clear. They do not leave their party. Okay. You can make statement, but I want to see evidence.
You have to admit, Tan Sri,
of
somebody changing allegiances that is anti-hopping in spirit. if not by the letter of the law.
Yeah.
If you ran under a Perikatan national banner during GE15 and then suddenly you say, oh, now I support the government, doesn't that go against anti-hopping?
No, you must have evidence. I need evidence. Show me. That's why I'm keep on saying that. I need evidence that you have moved. The word is move. Support, everybody can support him. You see, when you talk in parliament and when you speak in parliament, there are also opposition leaders say, I support PM on this issue. Budget, this coming budget, I support. Then what do you do then? If you want to take those what we call it announcement as an evidence that he supported PM and leaving your party? No, you can't do that.
Okay.
I need evidence that he personally wants to join the party without duress.
All right. Do you think that the anti-hopping law should be amended to clarify loopholes? Are there loopholes in the anti-parting hopping law that needs to be addressed as a result of what's happened with Bersatu 6?
I guess everybody understand and read well what happened when TYT of Sarawak. He was the minister then, Wan Junaidi, Wan Junaidi now. He said when he was preparing those, what we call it, the bills to be tabled in Parliament, even he suggested to make it very clear. But I don't want to quote who in the position today do not agree.
Okay, but
because
knowing what we know today, should this law be amended?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I say why not?
I do want to spend the remainder time that we have, Tan Sri, looking at reform of the parliamentary institution, and the biggest overhaul will come with the Parliamentary Services Bill that is due to be tabled this session. This PSA bill has been pushed back multiple times. Why has there been a delay?
Well, you see, when any government, for that matter, would like to put Parliament under your wing, because you have total control over Parliament, even though you keep on saying that this is democracy that we practice, separation of power. And but nevertheless, this Prime Minister feel that, yes, we should have separation of power, and we need bill to do that. And Alhamdulillah, Cabinet have decided, and the blue bill is ready. And certainly, I guess, on this sitting, we will see one.
Okay, so you think that this bill is going to be passed in this sitting?
I believe so.
Can you talk to me about how this Parliamentary Services Bill is going to strengthen the work of Parliament? What is it going to do that will take it out of the ambit of the executive and make it truly independent?
Well, number one, you must understand that when psychologically, when you have this act, meaning to say that Parliament is out of the executive system, so you are independent. Independent means to say that, number one, independence of having your own finance.
That's right.
Government give you X amount of money. Parliament give you X amount of money. Then you know how to administer those money, and you give priorities to that, number one. Number two, and you can have your own staffing. Rather than you wait for the government to send one, now you can hire and fire, and you certainly choose the best brain. And number three is that you can design the way you want Parliament to be run. Meaning to say, if I feel that I should have more select committee for that matter. At the moment, I have 10, but I want to form 12 select committee. Then I don't have to ask anybody for that matter, because that is within the, within the power of the Speaker. Or I want to have, like now, the entire complex of Parliament is run by renewable energy, because I want it to be a showcase. I don't have to ask the PM. I say, look here, this is what we want to do, because we want to tell the world, we want to walk the talk, that we're talking about so much of renewable energy. So now, for the first time, and our parliament is run on renewable energy.
Right, but you didn't need the Parliamentary Services Act to do that. You did that without the PSA.
Yeah, I can do that. But then government say, I don't have the money. It's not the priority.
Okay.
But now with PSA, the money is controlled by me.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, I want renewable energy. And they cannot stop me.
Okay.
Because I want it to be, there must be impact to my parliament.
Which makes it even more crucial then, Tan Sri, that you're seen as impartial and neutral, given that the Speaker will hold the purse strings of Parliament moving forward, right?
Yeah.
Can I ask, do you foresee any pushback to this parliamentary services bill? What are the concerns that may perhaps derail the passing of this bill, or do you see as everyone having support for this?
I don't see anything that will stop us, because every MP is like that. Everyone would like to see that we are independent, we manage our own quote and unquote business,
okay,
and executive become our partner.
Okay,
that's it.
Will this bill be scrutinized in one of the parliamentary select committees? Since this bill pertains to parliamentary powers, it makes sense that a select committee should look at it, no?
Yeah, we do have committees, not select committee. We have a permanent committee that will look to the entire running of the parliament, yes, which are chaired by me, certainly, and members are all these, all the leaders of the parties are in the committee. So they will call it Jawatankuasa Pilihan, and these are the people that certainly give me opinion
on the bill
itself, or anything else, on the running of the parliament. So these are the committee, of course, chaired by me, and they give input.
You spoke about parliamentary select committees, Tan Sri, and I think you're quite passionate about making sure that these parliamentary select committees conduct their responsibilities and are given the teeth, like you said. Can you talk to me about what improvements have been done under your watch, and where are the gaps that you would like to work on when it comes to empowering select committees to hold government accountable?
Okay, number one, when you have a select committee, remember two things. Number one, term of reference given to them are very wide now. They can identify issues that they want to identify, and they can call anybody for that matter to appear before them. That's number one. Number two, they are funded. They are financed on quite good, and they are staffed now, And of course, I'll be giving more, staffing and finance, and as time goes by.
Will this be under the PSA? Is it specifically allocated for under the PSA?
Yes. Even before the PSA now, they are finance and staff. And of course, number three, you must understand that there are 9 members in the select committee at the moment, and that 9 members come from both divide.
Okay.
So the opposition and the most important thing is that for select committee to feel that they should come up with proposal, they should come up with issues that certainly. Remember, when they call people to appear before them on certain issues, they have to prepare a report, and that report shall be tabled in the parliament, and I will allow the chairman of the select committee to speak about issues that certainly they have come up. And when you speak in parliament, then people get involved, and whatever decision they made, it become decision by the Dewan.
Okay.
And the minister got to respond to those issues that were raised.
Okay.
And it become public issues now. So if you do not have an active select committee, and you miss the opportunity.
All right. So you are actually giving space for parliamentary select committees to put their reports forward on the public floor. Tan Sri, are you looking at measures such as institutionalizing parliamentary select committees? Because right now, they're not institutionalized, right? They change based on which government is in power. Are you going to maybe introduce something that will put them in statute, for example?
Certainly, yeah. At the moment, we have permanent select committee. Those special select committees, as you said, exactly, as time goes by, the new government come in, they might dismantle it and form another. Yeah, we should certainly. We are thinking about it. I would certainly put forward into the Jawatankuasa Pilihan and that govern the whole entire running of the parliament, and see how things are.
Okay.
Certainly, I'm on opinion we should make it permanent.
Okay.
Certainly.
Let's end this conversation with a look at, I think, the atmosphere of parliament discussions. And I'm curious about your perceptions in terms of how polarized is parliament at this point. You've been a member of parliament for a very long time. I think from your days in the opposition to your days as MP, as a government MP, and now as speaker, what's the evolution of that feeling like?
Well, sadly to say, yes, there is now. In fact, when I was an MP before, for 15 years, we shared the same cafe.
Are you saying you don't share the same cafe anymore now?
No more, because the opposition have their own cafe. Or they do not want to be sharing the same cafe as the cafe that was provided to them. So that's one example. Of course, it's not going to be, an issue. But certainly it sent a strong message, a very strong and wrong message that, we can be adversaries in the Dewan. But outside we should be friends, and you don't live in that atmosphere all the time.
Tan Sri, can I ask, doesn't the policy of the government not to provide equal constituency development funds to all MPs, does that not contribute to this polarization in Parliament?
No, development fund. You listen after this when the Minister of Finance would table this budget, it never says we are not giving money, development fund, to those opposition said no.
You're giving money with strings.
No string, nothing.
But they're not getting CDF at the moment.
No, what they're asking is about funds to the MPs, which are given by Prime Minister. That's different. But when it comes to development, I'm not talking on behalf of the executive. But as I can see, when they are preparing budget, it never says anywhere that we are going to carve out from state 1, state 2, state 3, 4, because these are governed by opposition. No. When it comes to development budget, it's all equal, based on facts. But what they are asking is that certain allocation, which were given by Prime Minister, which was practiced years ago, And I guess Prime Minister have been saying, come and talk to me. There's no string attached, except I want certain conditions to be followed. That's all. No lies. Certain things that probably I have not seen whatever been said by Prime Minister.
So you don't think the CDF should be, it's not an entitlement, essentially?
Entitlement. That's, yeah.
All right,
that's what I'm saying.
We have to end on this note. Thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Most welcome. You're most welcome.
I've been speaking to Tan Sri Johari Abdul, Speaker of the Dewan Rakyat. This has been The Breakfast Grill on BFM 89.9.